Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Rakshati Basavaraju. I am a psychiatrist currently in Columbia University Medical Center. Today I'll be talking on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the psychological well-being of women. This is going to be the outline of my presentation. So as we all know, COVID-19 is a viral disease. And so far, all over the world, there are 200 million cases with 4 million deaths. So recent data shows that there is a higher mortality in men, unfortunately, but also unfortunately, women have a higher morbidity. And what is the meaning of this higher morbidity? I'll be talking throughout my presentation. So COVID-19 proved not just to be an infectious agent, but a very potent and powerful chronic stressor. So what is the fundamental impact caused by this pandemic, which has resulted in a mental health sub-pandemic? So the mental health crisis has been termed as a crisis inside a crisis and a shadow pandemic, which has been following the physical effects of the pandemic. So this has widened the gender gap and reversed the progress that has been achieved so far in terms of men and women's education, employment, financial stability, etc. So because of this pandemic, there is a breakdown of social infrastructure. This breakdown of social infrastructure resembles a compounding of the already existing loopholes in the society. And there is a global sense of unpredictability and loss of control. And all these factors put together have resulted in increased psychological distress secondary to COVID-19 pandemic. And coming to women. So there is no doubt that women have been disproportionately affected by the mental health aspect of COVID-19 pandemic. So why women? So what's it about women that makes them especially vulnerable to the mental health sequelae of the COVID-19 pandemic? First and foremost, there are more women represented in service sector jobs. That is, those jobs where there is more person-to-person contact. For example, healthcare workers like doctors and nurses, receptionists, cashiers, teachers, and informal sector laborers like flour and vegetable vendors, etc. So compared to the Great Depression, there were more job losses in the manufacturing and industry sector. So more men lost jobs in the Great Economic Depression. But in this COVID-19 pandemic, because of lockdown and social distancing and avoiding person-to-person contact, it was this sector of jobs, that is the service sector, which suffered the most. And women took the brunt and ended up with higher unemployment than men. And this unemployment has resulted in great psychological distress. Women have been termed to be the multitaskers in the family. She is efficient in managing professional life and personal life. And I think this expectation is more of a bane than a boon. And COVID-19 pandemic has really pushed this expectation to the verge of breakdown of women. And there is increase in intimate partner violence, domestic violence, because there is lockdown. People are inside home and women are locked up with their abusive partners. This domestic violence has also increased mental health issues in women. And of course, there are unique roles related to reproduction, which are played by women, like pregnancy and postpartum nursing of the baby, which puts them at increased risk of psychological distress secondary to the COVID-19 pandemic. And women inherently, with or without pandemic, are more susceptible to depression, anxiety, etc. So all these factors put together increase women's vulnerability for mental health issues secondary to this viral pandemic. So I will be sharing my thoughts on these issues individually. So mental health issues. So what are these issues which have increased in women secondary to the COVID-19 pandemic? They are, for example, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, substance use disorder, suicidal thoughts, and increase in pre-existing psychiatric disorders, insomnia and other sleep-related issues, somatic symptoms like headache, psychosis with the theme of the virus incorporated, and healthcare workers. We know that 70% of healthcare workers all around the world are constituted by women. And these women have been continuously working as nurses, doctors, care providers without any uh, break, and hence they are facing burnout, exhaustion. And they have also been working with the fear of transmitting infection to their family, and they have been living apart from their families. This has resulted in immense psychological distress. And post COVID infection, there is intense fatigue or apathy in weeks to months after infection in many women. There are symptoms of post traumatic stress disorder in women. All these have resulted in great psychological distress. And coming to reproduction. So, what are the issues surrounding the role played by women in reproduction, which puts them at a higher risk for mental health issues in this pandemic? So there has been a higher incidence of unplanned pregnancies in this pandemic, at least in the earlier phase of the pandemic. This may be because of decreased access to contraceptive health care, increased time spent at home, and it is showed that unplanned pregnancies are associated with poor perinatal mental health in women. And there is this aspect of preconceptional anxiety or postponing pregnancy because of unclear effects of this virus on the developing child, and economic reasons. Both the man and women are out of jobs. There is economic instability. They don't have financial security to bring a new member in the family. Infertility treatments have been paused because of the virus infection, but the biological clock is ticking. This has resulted in a lot of preconceptional anxiety in women. And coming to pregnant women, they have their own share of anxiety provoking thoughts like, will I catch the infection? What happens if I catch the infection and land up in complications? Will I pass it on to my child? And what if I catch the infection during doctor visits? And nursing mothers, they are affected if they have to be separated from the baby if infected, and breastfeeding had to be discontinued in many who were infected. So all these has resulted in great psychological distress. And also we observed that there was lack of social support during this pandemic, which is indicated by absence of rituals like baby showers. So baby showers are known to enhance the mother's psychological well-being during the pregnancy, and lack of such social rituals greatly added to the psychological distress of pregnant women. And there has been non-judicious use of social media by pregnant women and postpartum mothers. And yes, all of us have been through non-judicious use of social media, and this indeed has added more to psychological distress of this group of women. Intimate partner violence is a kind of domestic violence which can be psychological, physical, or sexual. And it has been shown that intimate partner violence increases after all natural disasters, like there was an increase in intimate partner violence following tsunami in South India. The National Commission for Women actually recorded a twofold rise in the number of complaints of violence lodged. But some NGOs actually reported paradoxically a drop in calls on their helplines. The reasons may be because of constant monitoring by the abuser inside the four walls of the home, and also controlling access to gadgets by the abuser. So if we study what are the conducive factors for the increase in intimate partner violence during COVID-19 pandemic, so there was an inability to escape. The women couldn't go elsewhere. There was a lack of option to stay with a friend or family member. And also because of lockdown, social distancing, neighbors couldn't notice that a woman is being abused in a particular neighborhood. So it escaped the scrutiny of anyone from outside. And there was job loss, which, as already discussed, was higher in women compared to men, which caused economic dependence on the male member that increased the chances of abuse. And alcohol use in men has been traditionally associated with intimate partner violence, whether it is because of withdrawal or intoxication. So, a report shows that in the initial phase of the pandemic, when all the liquor stores were shut down, because of the unavailability of alcohol, men who had alcohol use disorder went into withdrawal and abused women. So, later during the later phases of the pandemic, when the liquor stores were reopened, They went into intoxication and still bet women. So alcohol use problems in men of all kinds, in all phases, have been associated with increased incidence of intimate partner violence in women. And unemployment in the male partner also increases intimate partner violence through increased alcohol use or independently. And importantly, there was a redirection of police to front line to implement lockdown and maintain containment zones. So the amount of police force to attend to these issues, the regular issues of society like domestic violence was less, which led to increase in domestic violence. And because of lockdowns, there was deficient functioning of legal courts. So because of all these factors, intimate partner violence really shot up in the society after COVID-19 pandemic. It's an international phenomenon. It's not restricted to any particular community, country, or society. So far we discussed all problems. So what are the solutions? So coming to everyday tools. So what are everyday simple tools which women can employ to ensure psychological well-being during COVID-19 pandemic? So first and foremost, it's about making a routine and sticking to it. So all of us have experienced difficulty in maintaining a structured day after the onset of the pandemic. But making a routine and sticking to the made routine is very much important for psychological well-being. And healthy boundaries have to be set when the woman is working at home. So whenever the woman is working at home, there are no clear boundaries between work time, leisure time, self-care time, family time, etc. So setting clear boundaries between these times is very important to ensure optimal psychological well-being. And women have to stay safely connected with their best friends, with their close family members. Maintaining a regular sleep schedule is of vital importance. So all of us know that our sleep schedules went haywire in this pandemic. And along with maintaining a good sleep schedule, maintaining regular exercise and nutrition not only ensures good physical well-being, but also psychological well-being. Coming to stress reduction techniques like yoga, pranayama, and meditation. So we have seen that the popularity of these techniques shot up during COVID-19 pandemic. The reasons being they can be done by anyone inside four walls of their home without any costly equipment, without going to a place outside their homes. And there are thousands of people who have reaped immense benefits because of these techniques during COVID-19 pandemic. And what can employers do to ensure psychological well-being of their employees? Provide childcare options for female employees, provide mental health resources at work which are gender sensitive. And women in senior positions can share personal experience to reduce stigma in women who are working under them, provide flexible hours of functioning. Coming to professional resources and helplines. So what are some of the professional resources that people can utilize to ensure psychological well-being in this pandemic, especially women? So National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences has launched a guideline document for assessing and treating mental health in the times of COVID-19 pandemic. This is meant for general medical and mental health care professionals. So they discuss about the most common psychological problems during the COVID-19 pandemic and point-to-point, ready-made, quick first aid kind of solutions which can be provided. And this even general public can go through this for it serves as a good resource of information. And Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment Government of India has launched the first multi-language national toll-free helpline for mental health issues called Kiran, which can be availed by people. And there are many private platforms which people can log on to seek mental health help. UNICEF has come up with a guideline on parenting tips for parents during this COVID-19 because parenting has been a real challenge because children are out of schools, they're also doing online learning and women have to look after them as well as perform at their work and do the household chores. So in order to maintain and function well with these COVID-19 parenting challenges, UNICEF has come up with a document on parenting tips, which women can go through. And NIMANS has launched a perinatal mental health helpline number, which pregnant and postpartum women can avail. And National Commission of Women has put out a series of helplines, including police station, government, other government of India helplines, and other NGO helplines, which women can avail to report domestic violence. And we have to prime obstetricians, who are the first contact, and auxiliary nurse midwives in handling pregnancy-related COVID-19 psychological issues. Because every pregnant and postpartum women cannot be handled by a mental health care professional. And priming obstetricians and auxiliary nurse midwives is a very good way to handle brief and basic psychological issues related to COVID-19 in pregnant and postpartum women. And there should be a mandate to introduce curriculum on recognizing and addressing intimate partner violence and sexual violence against women for all mental health care workers. And also, these healthcare workers should train other medical specialists and healthcare workers to recognize signs of violence in women and attend to it. Media has a huge responsible role in raising awareness on psychological issues, domestic violence. How can people recognize that they have this, or they are someone around them is a victim of domestic violence, and how to seek support and help and where to reach out to. Media has a huge role to raise awareness about these aspects, which will come a long way in helping people. And also, we have to come up with innovative ways of helpline services which women can utilize without alerting their offenders in case of domestic violence. For example, in France, warning systems at groceries and pharmacies were set up using code words. Well, as we came to know earlier, that because of restricted access to phones and laptops, they couldn't connect and report about domestic violence. So these are some of the ways which can circumvent the inability to access phones to report domestic violence. And we should increase the availability of resources to NGOs offering legal aid, counseling, and shelter to women facing violence. So I'll end my talk with this, and I urge everyone to get vaccinated as soon as possible, because vaccine is the only way we can fight this pandemic and buy some time to really heal the issues which have been existing in our society from a long time. Thank you. And I thank Dr. Sudha Tirthalli for giving me this opportunity to deliver this lecture in Arivu series. Thank you.